Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Are you wondering what prepping chores should I be doing today? What tasks should be on my list? Well, let's just think about the way that the world's been going since this pandemic began months ago. Actually, people are eating at home, preparing their own foods at home 20% more than they were in the past. That's one reason that foods are in shorter supply in the grocery store. Manufacturers are having a hard time keeping up with the foods that they want. They're having a hard time sourcing things like labels and cans because they come from overseas. One of the things that manufacturers then have been doing is producing fewer choices. So maybe they used to make 36 types of soup. Now they're only producing 17. That's one reason we go to the store and we can't find all of the different types of things we want. We see shelves that they may be full on the front, but it's all an identical item. I don't like chicken noodle soup. When I go to the store, I can have 100 cans of it, but I don't want it. I want something else, and other things are not necessarily available. Just as we've read that states are stockpiling food because into the fall, they're expecting 30% more people to need help getting the food that they need. So grocery stores are also stockpiling it. They're calling them pandemic pallets from what I read. The stores are stockpiling extra stock so when things become harder to get and they're expecting a food crisis and maybe some panic buying, I don't really know, but they're expecting there to be problems, so some of the stores are stockpiling food in the warehouses and keeping it back. We can't predict what can happen, but it's certainly a time to be aware of what's going on. Make sure that you have at least 2 weeks of supplies in your home. You want to be self-reliant. You want to be able to rely on yourself and provide the things that you need in case there's some kind of an emergency. The pandemic and the slowdown and shutdowns aren't the only things that can go wrong. We've seen so many natural disasters that occur all the time all over the world, regardless of a COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. We also have just come through forest fires, droughts, hurricanes, tornadoes. Those natural disasters always continue to occur. That's just part of living on Earth. We have unrest in our cities, protests going on, and we know that the crime rates are rising. Some cases, it's not even safe to go outside of your home unless you need to. If you make sure that you have the things you need, you may not be forced to leave your home to try to get the supplies that you rely on having because you are self-reliant. You've stockpiled those things for yourself and your family. Go through and organize the food and supplies that you have. Clean out one little shelf at a time until you've gotten things a little organized, you know what's going on. Do one little section at a time until you have an organized way of knowing what you have and figuring out what else you need to get. Make a list and replace or get those items. Think about having 2 weeks of food. Think about having an emergency water supply. It's the time of year when it gets cold, it gets dark. Do you have flashlights, batteries? Do you have an emergency heat source? It may not be getting cold yet where you are, but it's cold here in Alaska. It's important to know how are you going to stay warm in an emergency situation. It's up to you to think about these things and provide them for yourself. Prepping is lifestyle insurance. It's making sure that you have the things you need to continue to have the lifestyle that you want. If you make sure you have those things, you aren't going to have to go out trying to source them, maybe having to go without, or dependent upon someone else to provide the basics for you. It only makes sense to be a prepper and provide those things for yourself. Take this opportunity to get organized so that you can face whatever comes your way. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Learn more at alaskagranny.com and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.